opening situation, exposition. So he wants to throw up his arms in despair. Then his charioteer, his chauffeur, begins to talk to him and reveals himself as Krishna, the God. And more or less explains to him, you are put into this position, you are the warrior, and as a warrior you have to live and die and do what is imposed upon you. In the gist of the Bhagavad Gita, after all, is the action is for man. You act what action is called upon. The fruit of the action is to the gods. So you have to do what your life expects of you in your position. What the result of it, that's not in your hands. All that matters, your Tao, is to fulfill your own destiny. Another comment for that is in Franz Werfel's one for all too easily forgotten novel. He called it "Hearken to the Voice." It is a voice of I forgot his name, one of the Jewish kings that was overthrown by Nebuchadnezzar. And he was blinded, and it led to the first Babylonian exile. Now, the novel was written in the 30s and was clearly aimed at Hitler. But there is one passage in the novel. Yeah, it's about Jeremiah, of course, who has to receive the word of the Lord and prophesies, even though he hates what he has to say, because he has to prophesy doom and destruction. And this is one passage where the voice speaks to him, O Lord, and I have chosen Nebuchadnezzar, my servant, to visit destruction on Jerusalem. And Jeremiah, Nebuchadnezzar, the instrument of the Lord, and he is not even a Jew, and I am to prophesy that thing. The message is you have to express what you are given to express. And we often don't understand why. But there is such a thing as an inexorable destiny. Again, it does not excuse our laziness, because we may have this destiny imposed upon us exactly in order to stand up against it also, and grow by standing against it. Again, the action is ours, the fruit of the actions is not.
Well, Dr. Whitmont, I heard you mention spagyric methods, and it was interesting to me that, number one, people mix alchemy and spagyrics kind of uniformly. I wonder, why did Jung, who was such a tremendous scholar in alchemy, completely ignore Paracelsus's speech about that the goal of alchemy is the production of medicines for healing?
Because Jung was trained in orthodox medicine and never concerned itself with it, but went off into a different field, but never challenged the basic medical assumptions. It simply didn't interest him.
Right, so he didn't investigate alchemy from that level.
No,
he just saw it as completely symbolic.
And even though he himself quotes alchemistic statement that it is both psychic and substantial. He quotes it and says, well, but obviously it has to be taken symbolically. In other words, Jung was no god. He had also his blind spots. And they were not only there, he had other blind spots too, as everybody else of us. This is what he was. Pardon?
Did he dream about homeopathy as one of his big blind spots?
I don't know. He didn't confide all of it to me.
The other thing I was wondering is, I read a paper once.
But let me still add, he was fundamentally disinterested in anything that had to do with the body.
Right. You said that before.
That he was a pioneer. You don't blame the Wright brothers for not having invented the jet plane. If his followers stay with the propeller plane, you may blame them. But that's where he stood.
And the other question I had was, one time I wrote a paper on mercury and I sent it to you, and you sent back one of your little note papers that are with undecipherable writing. But what I got out of it was you said that mercury, that the secret of mercury had to do with its liquid nature.
Yes.
And could you speak a little bit about that, what you meant by that? Because I noticed you didn't mention it in your presentation of
Mercury, again, in the alchemistic frame of reference, you see, you have sal, sulfur, and mercury. Sulfur, fire, sal, earth. Mercury is water and air, which you can see in the metal. It is liquid, and with the slightest increase of temperature, it vaporizes. It is yeah. And as such, it is like the spirit of mercury, namely like water. It connects and combines and integrates. So it has to do with all the liquid processes in the body. And when they get out of kilter, and when, in other words, when this mutual interconnection is transmitted by the flow gets out of kilter, you get these integrative processes.
One more thing about alchemy, it seems to be
For instance, there is a Goethe's a good poem about giving the likeness of the water as it is in the ground, as it vaporizes, comes up to the air, to the heavens, and comes down again to the ground. And then it finishes, soul of man, how do you resemble the water? Spirit of man, how you resemble the wind. It's beautiful. Now, clearly this is the function of the god, of Hermes, the god Mercury, to connect. He's a messenger of the gods to the earth and of the earth to the gods. So he is the carrier of the endless circle of connecting the worlds. And this is Mercury, the connector, therefore the integrator. This is a water and air process.
That's interesting in terms of how the work with the use of dew in alchemical preparation.
The use of what?
Dew. Collecting the dew from the fields.
Well, this was in Stercore and Veneto. In the shit you can find it too. But they didn't specifically only collect the dews. You see, I do not know enough about the actual chemical transactions of the alchemists. I do not doubt that they did, when properly they did what they claimed to do. Certainly in Paracelsus you do read essences, recipes for extracting, let's say, the spirit of antimony and so on and so on. And he used it as a medicine, and he was not a failure as a doctor, so it must have worked. But they used a method which is more complicated, and I do not know whether more or less effective than the homeopathy. They are tried to do by the chemical way what we accomplish by the trituration, by the mechanical way. So it's a different methodology. Whether superior or not, I can't tell. But in essence, we are doing the same thing. Just a different approach, technically, a different technique.
And the other thing I was wondering, it seems like alchemy, the term is used so much today in popular, the alchemy of this, the alchemy of that. Do you think people are misperceiving, or how would you clarify the perception of what alchemy really is, or how they're misperceiving it?
No doubt, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe it's crackling somewhere in the unconscious wants to come in, so it is picked up on the tabloid level.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for a wonderful day.
Thank you. I want to shortly summarize why. Number one, why do I do this? For the psychotherapists, the answer is obvious, I take it. For equally, hopefully for the homeopath too, because you always deal with dreams, you might as well understand how to approach a dream at least. I do not expect that you become masters of dream interpretation. That takes years and years of experience. But you might get a feel for how one may approach it, and I deliberately say, play with the dream. The best attitude when you hear a dream is, I don't understand a word of this. Any notion you have when you hear a dream that that's what it means is likely to be what it does not mean. A dream is, you hear the opening of a different world, and you have somehow to grope, to feel, to play your way into this fairy tale world of images and not of rational things. You don't understand the dream ever. After you have gotten the sense of it, some understanding may dawn, but that is secondary. The primary is to get the smell, the sense, the touch, the taste, the feel for what's doing there. Now, for those who do not use a dream therapeutically, but want to use it for themselves, I would suggest to do this definitely either with a partner who can ask the questions elicit, or quite often, even better, in a group, in a dream group, where one can toss it about and play around with it. This, again, the details may come forth afterwards. Now, I want to sum up quickly the technical points. You find them, of course, extensively in the book by Whitmont Pereira about dream work. There it's at length, but I want to quickly summarize it here. For one thing, the dream, as I said yesterday, is a message from the guide, from the self, depicting the situation as it is. There is no such thing as a difference between latent and manifest in the old Freudian idea. This is, I would say, totally invalid and misleading. The dream does not speak English, nor German, nor Italian. The dream speaks images. The dream speaks dramatic images. Or if you want to say, allegorical images. The image may refer to contents that are knowable, namely to the personal unconscious. In this case, it is allegory. Or it may point to facts, essences that are beyond our rational understanding. In that case, we call it symbolic. This is the differentiation or clarification that Jung made. At variance of the ordinary language use. In other words, the dream often points the way to transcendental facts that it does symbolically. In any case, it is always in terms of dramatic images following the laws of the drama, which are exposition, a development, crisis, and potential crisis, solution. Now, unless the exposition is understood, you have no chance of understanding the dream. Because the opening of the dream always refers to the issue that is dealt with. If that is not carefully felt through, forget about the rest practically. You won't get it really. It's like, like reading a letter and not knowing what the letter is all about. Then the rest can easily then be a mumbo-jumbo. So this exposition at the beginning will always have to be carefully worked through. Now, also, when I said no difference between latent and manifest, there are no substitutions. If you dream of Mr. So-and-so, it is whatever Mr. So-and-so represents. A pen is a pen. A pen is not a penis. Jung once said, if a church tower is a penis and the pen is a penis, what does it mean if you dream of a penis? and you are capable of that. So there is no censorship. You can sometimes dream the grossest, the wildest things. perfectly able. Okay, then we had, now in this dramatic statement, the dream usually depicts the interplay of the part personalities, complexes, drives of the dreamer, thereby helping the dreamer to self-awareness. At times, when an external situation is pressing and not understood, it may depict the external situation also. We call this object level, the other is subject level. Sometimes it's difficult to tell which is which, but it can be differentiated by the fact that the dream always, I repeat always, and I repeat again, always points to unknown data. In this sense, it complements the conscious position, or it may even compensate for it by exaggerating what it points to the same extent that the dreamer underrates it. Now, if you don't know does it refer to the external or the internal situation, you have to look for where it would be complementing or compensatory. Where does it bring news? To wit, for instance, the simplest way, if you dream of Mr. B as a crook, and you know he's a crook, this dream doesn't speak of Mr. B, it speaks of Mr. B there. It says, you have a crook in you. If you think Mr. B is a wonderful person, you dream of him as a crook, you better look out what he's doing. That's the issue in the nutshell. Then, what else do we have? Complementation. Then the dream personalities are understood, quote, in terms of association, explanation, and amplification. Association is anything that comes to mind, the dreamer when. Explanation is what the dream, what the image collectively, traditionally stands for. So I said that a pen is a pen, something for writing. The association may be, I used to like to stick it in my friend's rear, just to tease him or her. Well, that's an irrational association. It has to be added to it. Amplification refers to what historically or mythologically the motive points to. This is something that the therapist or whatever needs to have a sense of. This cannot be gotten, or may at times, but need not be gotten from the dreamer. Also, the motive or the image always has to be brought to some emotional or affect content. If the dreamer tells you, oh, this is Cheryl, and she was my friend in high school, fine, good, but you don't know anything about her yet. What emotional experience attached to it? Until you have gotten to an emotional affect, you haven't gotten to the bottom yet. now, regardless whether the dream is of child or of Zeus or the electrician next corner, there's always some affect associated with it. And the other thing, of course, yes, very important, no dream is final. The dream always gives you a picture of the situation given the present circumstances and given your present awareness. Once an awareness is gained, a new situation is there. In other words, you can be hanged and shot and killed and quartered in dreams and still be fine. The dream may threaten with doom, given the present unconsciousness. So in this sense, no verdict is final unless the drama of the dream in itself depicts a situation that is absolutely unchangeable. This is rare, fortunately. And then lastly, of course, death threats in dreams are a dime a dozen. They have nothing to do with actual death. they point to death and rebirth to transformation. When it's really a death thing, it's an entirely different story that comes. In fact, I had once a dream in which I was told I was going to die in 2 years, and in the dream I asked, is this to be meant literally? It said yes. Well, I had the dream about 30 years ago. So there I am again. All right. Is there any questions to this? Yes?
There was a dream, I think it was in Memories, Dreams, and Reflections, when Jung was talking about a man who is a mountain climber, and he has this recurrent dream that he climbs a mountain and falls to his death.
And what?
And he falls to his death in the dream.
Yes.
I'm actually, when you said there are a dime a dozen, in this case, this man, very extroverted, not very psychologically minded, has a recurrent dream that while mountain climbing, he falls to his death. Jung's advice to him was to look inward, and within a month, the man suffers death from a mountaineering accident. Is that, how would one appreciate such a concrete dream as that?
When a motive or a message is not understood, it may well make itself understood finally by concretizing itself. But I said a dream worked through understood at final. You see, I said yesterday, when a message comes and it isn't taken, there's a crescendo to it. Finally it comes fortissimo. Psychic dynamics. You will see that when we did, actually. But you dream of a pen. Let us say you dream, I cannot find my pen. And your association is, now, I used to have a particular pen which I used to write into my diary with. So the pen here points to the activity of writing into one's diary. What is writing one's diary? I confront my problems. So the issue is now confronting one's problems. In other words, you take it from the image and pursue the various aspects of the image. So the image is like a key with which you are to open a door. It might be a good, okay. Some of the questions I may postpone until we have the practical. Are you the first?
No. What the person asking the question was asked to sit in the seat.
Be a sport, Dana.
Hey, if my name's the first one there, then my question is if dreams are only unknown things that we haven't yet confronted, does that include unresolved things?
What you don't know, you can't resolve.
I mean, if there's certain issues that are playing on in your life and they're repeated, so is that an unknown? Is that what's meant by unknown?
You mean when you repeatedly dream about them? Or what do you mean are repeated?
Either repeated or just issues in your life. I mean, is that meant that there's some aspect of that that's unknown?
What do you mean with repeated? You mean you do commit the same blunder again and again? Is that what you mean? Or you marry the same type of woman one after the other?
So what was the dream, Dad?
No, I just wanted to get a sense of if dreams are only, or if unknown means just unknown or just unresolved.
They are synonymous.
Okay, that's what I wanted to get.
What you don't know, you can't resolve.
Well, I'm going to have to think about this.
You know, there is one focal point for us in our life, one thing, and that is consciousness. Around this, everything resolves. Wherever we are not conscious, we are in the play of the elements. And I cannot resolve what I don't know what I'm dealing with. Okay? All right, then let the gods speak. Yes. Now let me say repeat one thing. We will go in. Any moment it gets too uncomfortable for you, something that you rather would not touch here, say so.
I will. Thank you. I will.
Would you prefer your name taken?
Oh, why not? What's my name? Stop. No.
What? Okay. All right, what's your dream?
About 3 weeks ago, I dreamt I was walking down the street with a couple of friends, and I looked up and at the sky, and there was a full moon, and there was a cow. It was just crystal clear, and just a big, gorgeous cow.
In the moon?
No, right in the sky, like about 30 or 40 feet up, and I got so excited. I thought, look, everybody, look, this is incredible. And nobody could see it. And I said, no, it's there. And nobody could see it. But I thought, well, that's all right. I can see it. And I was fascinated. And as I watched it, it turned into the most gorgeous white horse, big and powerful and strong. And it just thundered through the sky, galloped off, and I just was filled with awe and excitement, and like something really special was happening. And then I woke up.
All right, let me repeat. You are walking with two friends, you said?
There were 3 friends, a doctor I work with, and a couple staff.
On the street?
Walking down on the sidewalk.
And then you saw a big moon?
Yes, I looked to the right to look up at the sky.
And
There's a
in
big,
the
bright
moon was a cow, or in the moon there was a cow?
Not in the moon, but as I looked up to the moon, I saw hanging in the sky, well before
What
the
had
moon.
happened to the moon?
It was still back there, I guess slightly to the right.
So
And
there
here's
was
the
a moon
here's
and a
the
cow.
Like the nursery rhyme? No, it was
Yes,
full
and the
moon.
cow turned into a horse and straight away.
Yes.
And
But
your feeling was exhilaration.
Just something fabulous, just like it's something really special and something really big is going on and something really beautiful, and I was so glad I could see it. I mean, it was just like a feeling of awe, and it was just more beautiful than the TriStar horse in the movies. It was gorgeous.
Can you give us an idea, or an approximate, what happened, what went on in your life about that time?
Well, a couple of things that I'd been doing. I was starting one new project, and another one was just coming to fruition, and I was really excited about it.
Excited?
I was excited thinking, this is really going to take off.
Like the horse?
Yes. Is it that simple? So.
Can you give us an idea about the nature of this project?
A patient and friend of Dr. Fisher's and mine is a woman who's been working with burn patients and everything, and she decided to, a couple years ago, go public with the incredible things that she had. And when I found out about it, I asked if I could put some money in, because it was not regular stock.
If you could participate in it?
Yes, if I could help be a financial backer, because I have a feeling it would really, really be big. And then every so often, the first infomercial that was horrible, and finally they got it right. And I hadn't seen it yet, but I talked to her.
You hadn't seen what yet? Wait,
I hadn't seen the infomercial that I put a lot of my money into, but I talked to the woman, and I knew that it sounded great, and I really felt that this was going to work.
What would it mean to you if you were engaged in this project? Where would it touch you?
It would give me total financial freedom.
And what does that mean to you? Why do you need total financial freedom?
Because there's a lot of things I'd like to do. I mean, I'm doing everything I want to do, but there's certain other things that I want to do that I don't need to do. For instance, well, there's a number of people that could use a lot of money now, some money that are really close friends of
You see,
mine.
you put it entirely onto the outside, but what does it mean to you inwardly to get this freedom?
Just the ability to do anything I want to do when I want to do it, perhaps paint more. Have to be inside. it's not something that I see that, oh boy, when I have my money, I can't wait to make a bigger thing for Animal Allies so I can put more stray cats there. That doesn't count.
Everything counts.
I mean, that's things like that.
Okay, let's start now at the beginning. You were walking in the street. What street? Where are we?
Well, it was very strange where I was in New York, walking down the street with Rich and 2 employees, and we would never be walking down the street in New York.
Why?
Because I live in Virginia, and I wouldn't be with 2 staff members walking down the street in New York. With Rich I would, and I have, but we were going to see a movie or a play or something. I had that sense as we were walking down the street.
No, but you said I would never walk in New York on the street.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant with this group of people.
Oh, well, what about this group of people?
Oh, they're my co-workers. And when I go to New York to see plays and to do other things, I don't go with office staff.
Why?
Because they're acquaintances and they're not my good friends that I like to go do things with.
What is the difference in feeling between your co-workers and your friends?
Oh, one of them I
What's the
adore.
difference between co-workers and friends? Put it that way.
I have some really good friends that I really love and trust. And, of course, I really love Fran, and I really like Kathy. I like these people, but I like to keep my personal life separate from my professional life. I just find it easier that way, since I have to supervise
So the
girls.
co-workers refer to your professional life.
I guess they do, yes. Okay.
And then what is the relationship of New York to your professional life?
None that I can think of. None that I can think of. Did we ever go to a seminar there? Excuse me.
You tell me.
I'm just trying to think.
What does New York feel like to you? I have never been there. I don't
Electric.
know anything. Tell me about New York.
Electric. It's just electric. I've only been there a couple days at a time, but to me, there's this incredible energy there, just a real vibrancy and a real electricity. And I always go there to have fun, like to see a good play, and just walking down the street, the air just crackles. So there's a lot of.
So in other words, the issue then we're dealing with is being in a crackling electrical area with your professional life, in terms of your professional life. Now, how is it? How do you feel about the electricity in your professional life currently?
Oh, I like it. I like
Is that-
vibrancy. Yeah. Yes, I own the office with the dentist, so electricity.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the particular persons?
One is.
What sort of customers are they? What are they?
Oh, the staff.
Yes, those
that I
people
was
that you
with?
are working with.
Well, one was Dr. Richard Fisher, and
what?
Dr. Richard Fisher, the dentist that I work with, and he was one of them, and he's my best friend. I'm crazy about
Now,
him.
wait a minute. He's a dentist. I thought you were working with staff members.
2 staff members and the dentist.
2 staff members and the dentist, 3 of them, in other words.
So there were 4 of us.
What's the relationship between the dentist and the staff members? Do they know each other? Are they?
Oh, well, the assistant's been there 11 years, and.
Speak a little bit about slowly. I have to.
I'm sorry. The assistant's been there 11 years, and she's an incredible woman. She's just like a gift. She's a wonderful person.
Can you be more specific?
She's kind, she's gentle, she's loving, she's industrious, a work ethic like you've never seen. She's good, and there's a peace and a gentleness about her, and yet she's funny.
That she's still.
Yes, she's fabulous.
Yes.
She's
How about
wonderful.
the other one?
The other is feisty, nice, sometimes a little bullheaded, but she's a nice person. She's an excellent hygienist, and I like Fran better. I guess that's obvious, but I like Kathy.
How about?
A lot. She's a very nice
How about those
person.
qualities in you?
Well, Fran, I feel, is much nicer
In you?
than I am.
No.
Oh,
How
yeah.
are you? How are you like Fran? Fran? Be her. Tell me about yourself now.
Be Fran?
Yes. Tell me about yourself as Fran.
Oh, she's so modest, she wouldn't say anything.
You are in the first person, please.
What am I, Fran? If I were Fran, this is difficult. I don't know how to say. I can't say Fran is wonderful. I have to say I'm wonderful.
Well, maybe you are. Is that a problem for you?
Well, no, but just to sit up here and say you're wonderful sounds, that's difficult.
Why? What's the difficulty?
Because I don't think, I feel I'm wonderful in some aspects and not in other aspects.
Now, do you feel that one shouldn't admit to oneself that one is wonderful, that one is capable?
Not in public.
And why not?
Because that's the way
I'm not. No,
I know.
it's a bona fide question.
I feel very uncomfortable saying that because I think only certain aspects are wonderful, not all aspects. So I can't sit here and say, "Oh, I'm wonderful."
Do you know of anybody who everything is wonderful and great? In other words, might you be a bit of a perfectionist?
I don't think so. Not the way I understand perfectionist.
How do you understand perfection?
In making sure every T is crossed and every I is dotted.
How about in yourself? You just told me I cannot say I'm wonderful because certain T's and T's are not crossed in myself.
Oh, would you want me to tell you what they are?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying to you that you expressed a hesitation to admit that you feel wonderful, because after all there are other things that are not so perfect, right?
True.
So that implies that you can only be wonderful if every T is crossed in yourself.
That fits.
In other words, you have seemingly a somewhat over-demanding and over-perfectionistic expectation of yourself.
I never thought of it that way.
No, that's why you get the dream.
Okay.
But the dream shows you walk with wonderful qualities. What's your reaction? What's going on? What do you feel right now?
Well, that was nice to hear.
Were you, as a child, much criticized?
I don't really remember early. I understand by one parent I was, and by the other parent I wasn't. But
were you told that you are wonderful?
by my father, when I was a little older.
Really?
My aunt and my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
One is conspicuously absent, but.
But who would not? Where did the sense come? Don't get too big a head. Don't get a swollen head. Where did this come from?
How could I, standing up here?
No, where did you get this notion? Every T, I must be crossed in yourself.
I have no idea because I wasn't even aware that I have that.
Mm-hmm. Now, what about the dentist? What sort of a fellow is he?
He's a wonderful person.
Also a wonderful person. Be the dentist now. Tell me about yourself.
I'm great. I have no ego. I do things just for other people, and I don't care who gets the credits at all. I just want to make sure that the right information, sorry, cringing, that the right information gets out to the right people to save lives and to help people. That's the dentist.
How does it feel when you say that?
Well, that feels good. Yeah, that feels good.
How do you feel when you say that in public?
I feel okay because it's a dentist.
What do you mean with that?
I mean that's the way he really is. And
but you were that now.
when I was saying that,
you spoke as he. He's in your dream.
that's the way he is. And he's kind and he
And
doesn't
where
judge
is that
people.
in you?
needs to be a little more pulled out in certain areas. He has no ego. And that's
What does that mean? What do you mean with that?
To me, that means, for my personal belief, what this really means to me, that I...
No, when you said he has no ego, what do you mean? I don't understand.
What do I mean by that? That he doesn't care who gets the credit, as long as the information, he's like at the hub giving out all this incredible information, and all these people on the periphery are struggling for the credit, this and that, and sometimes he won't get it. He says, oh, Tina, who cares?
Now, how does that apply to you? When do you feel like that?
Oh, sometimes in the past I've done some things that I feel have really been pioneering, and then I'll hear someone else say that, oh, they were the first to do it.
Yes.
This is what I consider a fault.
Yes.
And I'll say, but I did it, I did that first. You know, so he doesn't have any of that.
Right. And how does it feel to you?
What, not to have that or to have it?
When what you just described, you did something and somebody else claimed credit for it.
What is that feeling? Irritation and discouragement, quickly followed by, well, obviously, I have to work on my ego, because who cares if you get credit? That's not what I'm here on the earth plane for, to get credit.
Stay with the discouragement. Can you specify that, or convey what does the discouragement say to you? Be the discouragement now and talk to. What is your first name?
Dina?
Dilla. So, what does the discouragement have to say to Dilla?
Well, it's already morphed into who cares. I don't know what it says. What does it say? Let's see, what would it say?
You tell me. You see, every feeling also gives an opinion or a verdict.
Okay.
What is a verdict of the discouragement?
The verdict of the discouragement. Well, if you really wanted to, you could have gotten credit for it.
How so? Explain to me discouragement.
Discouragement. I'm wondering now if that was a proper choice of words. That's like a little feeling that goes, oh, you know, now it's not even important. But I guess it is, right?
Well, but look, discouragement generally is a feeling that says, you didn't do well, it's not adequate or something.
Oh, well then discouragement is the wrong word. I don't know what the word is. Because I felt more than adequate in the things I did. So, you know, I can't find a word.
Don't have to find a word. Give a picture, maybe. You mean discouragement is not the right word?
I'm beginning to think not, because I don't feel I did an inadequate job on what I did. So...
Okay, stay with the encouragement now, with the feeling as such.
With encouragement or discouragement?
Discouragement. Take this back into your childhood. When as a child did you feel like that?
All the time.
Yes?
All the time.
Why?
I didn't have a very good relationship with my mother, and she was, kind of a strict taskmaster. I can't really say all the time. I haven't thought of that.
How would she have responded if you felt you accomplished something and showed it to her?
Well, I never did show her anything.
Why?
But I can remember.
Yes, why not? Because you anticipated what from her?
I really don't remember anticipating that.
No, go back. You can let it arise before you know. Be a little girl and there's mother. And you just found a beautiful flower. What are you going to do with it?
It doesn't compute. I mean, I have no feeling where I'd run to my mother with anything. I do remember one thing, with the flowers.
No, it doesn't have to be a flower. Any child likes to show parents, look what I did.
Okay, I remember one time I arranged some roses in a vase and both my parents came out and wondered who did that it was so gorgeous. Mm-hmm. And I remember being so surprised, that they would both make such a fuss over that.
You were so surprised. In other words, you expected something different.
I don't think I expected anything.
Anything.
But when you're a child, you have so much fun doing other things. I mean, to go show things to your parents, unless I had a very bizarre childhood, was not something that was high on my list to do, to go play with the animals, to be outside, to play with my sister.
You see, what's happening here is you have this feeling, and the feeling reconnects you with your mother's aloofness. And when we come there, you wipe it out.
Don't we have to go forward in life?
No, I'm merely depicting, trying to show you what has happened to the child. In other words, you apparently came to the point where you took it for granted that this wonderful mother saying, "Oh, isn't that great, wonderful," wouldn't come forth. So you took this as a norm.
I believe you. I mean, I don't connect with it, but maybe that's just part of it being away. My father said lots of nice things, and my aunts and uncles did.
Well, but you see, we have the moon and the cow. And they are both images of the maternal.
I knew it wasn't as simple as just my project was going to take off.
Well, now tell me about the moon and tell me about cows.
In the dream?
No, I'm coming from another planet. I never have seen or heard of a moon. Well, explain to me what's the moon? How do you feel about the moon?
It was big and beautiful and bright and golden with a bit of silver in it. It was beautiful. And then there was just this cow right up there.
Well, how do you feel about cows?
I love cows. They're gentle creatures. Oh, I'm sure I do.
Well, birds are gentle creatures
Oh, I love birds. I have 3 birds.
What's the difference between the cow and the bird?
Well, cows aren't indoor pets. I mean, I have, my pets inside. But I just think they're gentle and sweet. To me, I think cows are just very gentle and sweet.
What about gentleness and sweetness in your own makeup and your own frame of reference?
You always ask difficult questions towards my animals, towards my friends.
Anywhere.
That can be a part
Are
of
you
me.
gentle and sweet? You consider yourself that?
If the situation warrants it.
What situation would want it?
I would say most. I mean, if I'm walking out on the street and there are a bunch of strangers, I wouldn't project or even want to, a gentle and sweet persona. So when I'm with loved ones.
What was it?
When I'm with loved ones.
Mm-hmm. What about friends. In a work situation?
Well, I should put it this way. I should learn how to say no. So, no,
Can you say more about that?
Well, I want to treat my employees, the people I work with, the way I want to be treated in a workplace. And so they've got a nice situation.
So you have a
nice
difficulty of putting your
situation.
foot down, you
Yes.
mean? You're too gentle
do.
and sweet.
Yes, that can be a drawback.
How does that relate to your relationship to your parents? That the having to be gentle and sweet rather than putting your foot down.
Me?
Yes.
Well, I did put my foot down a lot.
To your parents?
Yes.
Tell me.
Well, if I didn't think something was right or I didn't think they were, treating me right, like all children, you go through the rebellious stage, I tell them. And I spent a lot of time in my room reading great books.
Who, mother or father?
Well, my mother was, in those old days, the kind, I tell them both.
I am your parent. Now tell me.
Well, you wouldn't be unreasonable. I don't think you would.
No, what I was. I just did something that you feel is quite impossible and stupid.
That I did something stupid?
I did
You
something
did.
to you.
Yeah, I guess I didn't say much. I guess I didn't. Well, I'd always laugh when my father was disciplining me. That was repressed nervousness. But I just tell him, look, Mom isn't fair. She's doing this ridiculous stuff.
I am your father now.
Father.
Please tell me.
I really don't think you should let Mother punish me all the time.
I'll do as I damn please.
Fine. Get it over with.
What do you mean?
Get it over with. Just let me go to my room and just don't bother me.
Why are you talking to me?
Just don't bother me. I'm going to go to my room and read.
What, do you consider that very forceful?
No. No. No, I guess not. Oh, God. Well, I did march out of the office and go to the principal's office and tell him the teacher was putting me in the corner when I shouldn't be. And the principal came back and put my desk in the right place. So I guess it was easier to be more forceful with the principal in the 4th grade than the teacher. Oh, I was always considered so rebellious. You're right.
Well, you felt rebellious, but the way in which you felt it to be possible to express it remained within the cow sweetness. You were as rebellious, so you expressed your rebelliousness the way a cow would be do it. Maybe with a gentle moo.
Oh, my God. Okay.
No small wonder that your employees, your peers are not particularly impressed by it. Now, what's a horse like?
Oh, the horse is the horse in the dream?
A horse.
A horse. I think just horses are beautiful, strong, almost magical creatures.
What's their magic?
Oh, I think of them as unicorns and flying, and they're just so beautiful. They're in the fairy tales I would read as a child, racing hooves. And
Okay, now tell me, what do cows and horses do in the sky?
they don't belong there.
They don't belong there.
I know that must mean something. Are you going to tell me?
Well, it means just what you say, that you see, the horse flies away. In other words, how do you feel about the sky?
Oh, I love the sky, and the stars, and the moonlight, and the sun.
So it is a bit romantic, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, now, let's put the whole thing together.
Okay.
The dream puts you into an electrifying place, situation. You are going there with your enthusiasm, your feeling good for yourself, about yourself, but let's not be too cocky, right? And then you get a romantic vision. I would wonder how much. By the way, how romantic your mother may have been, was she?
Well, when she was young, she was gorgeous, and she was kind and sweet, but she was an alcoholic.
Oh.
So and that seems to be something that ran on her side of the family. So I feel she really couldn't help herself.
So, in this image here is almost like a vision in the dream, isn't it? The moon there with the...
I guess it was beautiful.
Yeah.
It gave a sense of peace.
So,
too.
in a way, then your assertiveness, or rather, your creative capacity is contained in the cow, maybe in that sweetness that feels itself to be rebellious. And from there it flies away. I would take this dream as a warning that you need to be much more realistic and really assertive about what you want, or your project may run away.
It's out of my hands now, that one. I say that one's out of my hands now. But...
Or rather that perhaps you are taking too romantic a view of the project and the relationships and what it takes and what...
I've been accused of that before. Always expecting the best and just assuming it's going to happen.
Okay.
It usually does, but still.
And this dream reminds you of that now. Said, this is your situation. There you are on the ground, but up there.
But it felt so good in the dream.
Of course, those hopeful wishes feel very good too.
Okay.
And it might be, if you can hold your horses and get the cow down where she belongs.
And, this is great. I knew there would be a totally different explanation after yesterday.
Does that ring a bell?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
It does.
So this is a warning, a rectification from on high.
That's a nice warning. I like it. If I'm going to be warned, let it be that way. That's
And
a beautiful dream.
the particular thrust would seem to be to trust yourself much more. Own what you have got, rather than being sweet and sort of, I don't know.
Namby-pamby?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, any questions now? As to... Not yet.
No, it's a question.
Oh, I see.
It's just one question. You mentioned that the moon and the cow are maternal symbols.
Well, you see, by and large, the moon particularly is one of the big symbols that covers the whole lot. But in all languages, except German, the moon is female.
Right.
Moon and sun are male and female.
All right.
And the moon is associated with the nourishing, with the romantic, with...
stability, it's always there.
With what?
Stability?
Not necessarily stability. Not at all. The moon is very changeable.
But
Today it's full,
there.
tomorrow it's half, and then it's gone.
Right.
That's not exactly stability.
Okay.
And if you look at romantic poetry, you can hardly avoid the moon. So it has this very wide range from the containing, supporting, life-giving. In astrology, it refers to childhood, for instance, to the nourishing and to the life-giving. So it's, when you deal with the moon image, you have to put it in context. Which of the particular aspects seems to fit. But when you have the moon conjunct with the cow, then you are clearly directed towards the maternal.
Again, about the cow and the moon, when you were telling the dream back to Dina and she was confirming or changing things, she did say, like the nursery rhyme, when she...
A cow jumped over the moon?
Yeah, and I was wondering if you didn't hear that, or I was wondering about that connection and why it wasn't
No,
pursued.
I didn't hear. Did you say that?
Yes.
Well, then I should have, then I would have hang on to that. Say, now, where does that take you?
Uh-huh. Okay. Thanks.
Can you comment on that still? Do you want to comment about cows?
It just came into my head. And I said, well, not like the cow jumped over, the moon at the nursery rhyme. It wasn't jumping over.
Yeah, but one would go then back to the nursing rhyme, the feeding of the nursery and all that. But also, in this dream, the cow does not jump over the moon.
Right, right.
So you would have to juxtapose those two.
Okay, thank you.
I guess the obvious homeopathic question is, what rubrics do you get from a dream like this? And do you at all think...
Do you need a rubric?
Right. I mean, do you, when you do dream...
I would give Pulsatilla and ask questions later.
That's okay, but let's say there was some aspect of her that wasn't exactly Pulsatilla.
Then she wouldn't have that dream.
I mean, what I'm trying to get is that what rubrics would come to your mind to...
From the dream, none.
None.
The dream shows me what sort of person I have to deal with. Mm-hmm. And the feeling of dream and dreamers says Pulsatilla. I would now perhaps pick up a few symptoms and compare and see if it really fits. But this is what I get out of that dream.
Have you ever taken Pulsatilla?
No, I haven't.
Richard, why?
It was in my unconscious.
Of course, mind you, there are other yielding, soft and sweet remedies, but certainly this is a leader.
You don't ask, you asked how she felt in each role in the dream except one, the feisty coworker. She said feisty, stubborn, obstinate. Why this one you avoided?
I didn't avoid it. I heard it. You see, put it that way. She walks here with 3 different people, different aspects. And, wait a minute, I have to reconstruct. Yes, and she did say she is trying, correct me please if I am, that she is trying to put her foot down with the employees. In other words, she's trying to act feisty. There we have it already. But there is an issue, a little bit of an issue. We had previously come over the thing of the hesitation to say I am wonderful. If you put this now in the relationship with an employee, where I'm trying to say to you, you ought to do this and this. I really wanted to say it, but I hesitate to say I really perfectly well know what needs to be done. So this doesn't exactly go with the feistiness. So the feistiness has already been expressed as a potential, as a hopeful self-image, but where the trouble brews is in the other. So the feistiness here is a quality which is relatively, well, I wouldn't say conscious, but at least as part of the self-image. But the dreams always directs itself to where something is overlooked. So the overlooked thing is in this. I'm wonderful, but am I really wonderful? So I go. See, here for this you need a sort of a nose, where the peculiar smell comes from. For that you have always to tune into the dramatics, to the...
So the feisty was very common. It was something you identify immediately.
Yes,
as just the common element.
In fact, it was the first thing that presented itself. This, the one figure said, "I'm wonderful." Now then, I put her into the experiential touch with that figure, and there was immediately a pulling back. So that rang a bell. So whenever you get into a discrepancy between where it seemingly seems to wanting to go and there you have to zero in. That's what it's all about.
It would have been easier. It would have been very easy for her to speak of herself as being feisty and
yes, if you're really about feisty, that's it. I'm saying, well, sure, I'm great.
Yeah.
So of course I don't mean it. Of course I don't say, but it comes with a different tone. It comes with a different. But what I picked up here is always this hesitation and let's not be too loud. And so you have to pick up. That's another point I must make. Whatever happens when a dream is told or worked on is part of the dream. If a ceiling had fallen, something had fallen down at this point, I would have wanted to know what the reaction and to her. But certainly anything, any gesture, anything of the dreamer is part of it, as a dream is being told and worked on. The synchronicity is utterly specific.
Okay. Thank you.
I keep coming back to my reaction to the amount of feeling that she had about the cow being in the sky and how positive that was. And I was...
Excuse me, no, I didn't express it at all. I didn't express that it was positive.
No, but she did.
Oh, yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
She did.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm up here, is because I didn't think you did. In other words, what I'm relating to is the possibility of this being compensatory to the mother problem. I mean, the cow is...
To the mother what?
To the mother problem. The cow is, of all earthy creatures, a maternal creature and a milk giver and so forth, but it also has the earthiness that she didn't experience in her mother, from her mother. And so this feels to me like one of the great compensations. It's being lifted into the realm of the spirit. I mean,
I would hesitate here. I would feel rather it was lifted in the area of romanticizing. In other words, I see a Neptunian element here rather than a genuine element. Also, the spirit, we didn't go into Father. And I have a suspicion, of course, we could have spent another hour on this. And I have a feeling that Father was a bit of a killjoy. Or something of the sort. So that Mother's romanticizing, hidden romanticizing, may be the compensation to Father. Or something of that sort. But this is pure, that would have to go into that, and we would have to spend another hour now on reconstructing that. But the distinct feeling I got here was not of a genuine spirit call yet, but of a spirit call, if so, yes, the horse, that is still somehow romanticized, nebulized, made unrealistic in terms of that.
Well, I have to say that as a woman, I'm thrilled with this. I mean, because it's as though, I think, this is a tribal dream, too, it seems to me. It's not just a personal dream. It feels to me that at this time, the earthy and maternal and so forth is getting lifted. I mean, you've written a whole book about it. And here in the dream, it changes into this Pegasus-like figure, the white horse of the spirit. Now, I would have to go into the thing of, as you did, of the danger of it flying away. But something incredibly important has happened in terms of the deep archetypal symbolism in this dream, it feels to me.
I would say could happen if it is grounded.
If it is grounded, okay.
And at this point, you see...
That's the whole point.
At this point of the development, I would insist on the grounding. Leave the possibilities for later.
Totally. I'm with you.
Because the fact still is, a horse, Pegasus, yes, but a cow has no business up there.
That's what you think.
Christopher, I had two questions. First of all, in this case, would you have prescribed pulsatilla or was just interpreting the dream enough? And secondly, which I think perhaps some people here are not aware. I know that you're often very keen on looking at general symptoms of the patient to confirm the choice of a remedy. And so I was going to ask you, if you were thinking of pulsatilla, would you have asked her a few more questions to...
Well, practically speaking, I never give a remedy on one symptom.
Right.
Or only when I'm completely stuck. And a dream is one symptom. So this dream points in the direction of pulsatilla. But this, as you have to say, that needs to be verified still.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Exactly. Now, it may not call for any remedy, or it may... I am now thinking of, in the general direction, I would probably consider other mild remedies. I would also consider calcarea, for instance, with the moon. But now, absolutely, yes, I will need more stuff to verify remedies. Mm-hmm. Just the same way when a particular remedy comes out first in the repertoire, that doesn't mean I'm going to give it. It's just maybe, probably, possibly, that's all. I'm usually a little bit ahead of things and work with my nose, so I take automatically things for granted that I need to explain afterwards. See, one thing one must pay attention in dreams is polarities. It means oppositions. And here in this dream we had an opposition between the, what shall we say, to use a neutral word for the time being, poetical image, and the streets of New York City. New York City is anything but going in for moons and cows and horses in the sky. So you have here the exposition that it is an issue relating to a man-eat-man, hard-boiled, grim business world. That is the issue here. That is sort of confronted by those grand images. Now, if you want to deal on the New York level and bring such a thing across, reconcile it with New York, bring it together, you have to be very much knowing what you do and being very much able to put your foot down where it's necessary. Therefore, my instinctive also going and stressing that aspect as a precondition, which, after all, exposition is, given that situation, for what may or may not develop and is seen enthusiastically. So again, to stress the developing the sense of where the polarities, hence the problem tension is, and where the exposition puts the issue at. This is basic. You see, that is sometimes the decisive point whether to deal with the dream this way or that way. So I cannot sufficiently stress that. Okay?
Would you say that we could really solve our medical problems in the larger sense by having everyone just do their dreams at least once or twice a week, instead of doing all the other pathological stuff with medicine and so forth?
I thought I answered it yesterday in stressing the exact opposite of that. Perhaps I wasn't heard adequately. I made a point. I mean, actually what I had to say yesterday was you need the one and the other. Neither of them will do.
Right.
Please. Neither of them alone will do. Some of it may be called for more than this, but fundamentally we are all biological as well as spiritual entities. Okay?
Well, a couple of days ago, I had a dream where I was finally bitten by a dog. And
finally? What do you mean finally?
Well, I always had a big fear of dogs. And I never was in a situation where a dog bit me. But I'm afraid of them to the point where I hate them and I can't stand them. Mm-hmm. And in this dream, the feeling was that I finally got bitten by a dog.
Is that the whole dream?
No.
No, please give the whole dream with all the details.
Okay. And then it bit me.
I must say that you can never deal with just a piece like that. It's always a context. Otherwise, go either anywhere. All right, from the beginning to end, the dream.
Okay. And I look at my left thigh where it bit me, and I see the marks. And it doesn't look bad, and I think it's not such a big deal. And I wonder if I should do the remedy or do something, but there is no time, so I don't do anything. And there is also a memory there of...
Now please, start with the dream.
This is in the dream.
How did the dream begin?
This is the beginning of the dream, where I'm finally bitten by a dog. This is how it begins.
You do not dream the actual biting. You only discover that you have been bitten. Is that it?
No, it was actually biting me. It was actually biting me, and then somebody took it away. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I see the marks. I see the 4 marks, the broken skin, but it's not bad, and it's not swollen or red or anything. And
like what?
It's not swollen or red, it doesn't hurt me that much.
So it's harmless.
So I think it's not such a big deal. Mm-hmm. And I see there are like 2 or 3 white little puppies that somebody's holding next to me. And
puppies, you say?
Yeah, little cute little puppies. And I particularly don't care for animals at all. And I think that I should take a remedy or do something, or there's no time. It's like I forget and I go on with other things. And the next part is I have to take care of some documents. And this is a nighttime, and I'm the only one usually who has to deal with all the important things. And I go to this office where these people are supposed to help me with the documents, but somehow they turn around and there's some sort of, I don't know, criminals or something. Anyway, criminals, or I don't know what they're all about, but they start pursuing me and wanting to kill me. Mm-hmm. So I remember running, and one particular thing that stuck in my mind was that it was really strange. There were like little golden rods that they had put between my teeth.
How's it again? There are rods?
Right, little golden rods, about, I don't know, 1 centimeter long, thin, that they put between my teeth.
Oh, they put between.
Right, they put between my teeth.
Like this or like that?
Like this, like this. And it felt very strange. And then as I was trying to escape them and get out of this whole situation, I finally got those things out of my mouth as well. And I was able to escape them, and I oftentimes have dreams where I get myself unpredictably into situations of great danger, and there is a lot of intrigue and mystery, and I'm pursued, and then I successfully escape it.
Again, what happened in your life about the time of the dream?
Well, this just happened a couple of days ago, and this whole last week I've been pretty sick. I feel I finally was able to allow myself to relax because I had very stressful last maybe 5-6 months, and especially last few weeks. I mean,
what accounted for the stress?
It was a lot of personal, and also was trying to get a lot of things accomplished in terms of my homeopathic studying, get a lot of things accomplished and
Can you be a little bit more specific?
Well, I'm in this correspondence course where I've been taking way longer than anticipated originally that I would be doing it, and I was finally able to finish it and complete it. I also have been thinking a lot about concentrating more on myself personally, in terms of concentrating more on myself versus the people in my family.
What were the, again, as far as you can go, what were the personal problems that put you under stress?
Well, the personal problems, there were, I guess, the tension between my husband, and not so much with him, but with his family also. That's the source of the personal.
Your husband and his family, how does it affect you?
How does it affect me? I do feel like I'm pursued by them.
You are pursued by them?
Yeah.
Tell us, how are they pursuing you?
Well, I feel like they just won't leave me alone. I just want to be left alone and not bothered. And I feel they just won't leave me alone. And
what do they want of
you? That's very... They have been always very critical, very jealous, and basically I just feel they always wanted to get rid of me.
They want to get rid of you?
Yeah, rid of me because I didn't suit their idea of what I should be like.
What is the idea that you should be like?
Well, their idea is that I should not have a voice in anything, that I should just be happy to do things the way they want it. I should agree to do things the way they want. Like they should be running my life. And
what do they want?
Well, at this point, they want to have interaction with us, with our family and our children. And it has been so destructive in the past that in the last couple of years, I was able to put my foot down and say that it's not going to happen.
Do they want you to be a passive housewife or something of this sort?
Yeah, they want me to be passive. Yeah. Yeah, they really want me just to be passive and quiet. And when I stand up to them, then it creates a lot of friction.
Now, coming back to the dream, was this the dog dream and the other, was this a continuous dream, or was it two separate dreams in the same night?
It was like a separate dream, but it happened right after.
Okay.
It was like...
And then I would like to start with the second one.
Okay.
Then again, you come to an office or somewhere?
Right. I come to an office, it's nighttime, and the office is like on the second floor, and it's all glass front. So I see the tables, and I see some people sitting there.
Okay. What does it remind you? Where or what sort of... Where of what sort of an office or what situation does it...
Well, I feel like I have to take care of some traveling documents.
You've been what?
Traveling documents. I have to take care of some traveling documents.
Is this a travel agency then in the dream?
No, no. Things like visa or things, something along those lines.
Or visa?
Yeah.
What is a visa?
Well, visa if I want to go to another country, getting a, yeah.
What other country do you want to go psychologically?
Well, in real life? Well, I'd like to go to England for a year
No,
or two.
psychologically, I said.
Psychologically?
Yes.
I don't know what you mean.
So, well, go to another country means to an entirely different setup and a different environment.
I understand that.
So, where does it ring? Where is there such a situation in your life that you want to go from one way of being into another one?
Well, in real life, I would like to change my place of living, and I'd like to go and live somewhere else for a while.
Why?
Why? Well, one, I feel that I'd like to finish my homeopathic education in England. That is one reason. Another reason, there's been a lot of tension for me in where I live now. And I guess I want to get away from that family that I feel I have really been.
How does that family feel about you studying homeopathy?
Well, my mother-in-law, she's a doctor, and she basically, I mean, she doesn't, I mean, they think that I'm just fooling around with something, trying to occupy myself with it, and, but I don't care, you know, what they think about it. I mean, it's not an issue for me.
Now, is this part, or is it not part of the general disapproval that you feel from them?
Yeah. It probably is, but it's not a major thing. No, it's not a major thing. No.
What would you say is the major thing?
That I'm not passive, so that they can just run over me and do what they want. That's the major thing. They're just very jealous, very immature people. And at this point, I sort of have accepted it because that's just the way they are. I realize that.
Okay, and then you come to this office for a visum.
Yeah.
What is a visum?
Visa. Visa?
Yeah, what is it?
Well, it's a permission to go to another country.
To go, yes.
Yeah.
So where do you feel you have to ask permission for anything you want to do?
I never feel I have to ask permission for anything. I always feel like I eventually end up doing what I want. I mean, I have been told as a child that I'm very stubborn, and I never saw myself stubborn until the last couple of years. I realized that I basically do end up doing what I want. I don't really ask for permission. No.
Can you describe this childhood situation of being called stubborn, for instance? In what situations?
Can you say it again?
No, can you give me an example of a memory that made you feel that you were stubborn?
I personally didn't think I was stubborn as a child. I always thought that I'm very agreeable and easygoing.
But how does it, or did it feel to you to be called stubborn?
Well, it didn't bother me. It didn't bother me. I just thought that they were inaccurate in their observations, people who were saying it.
What do you feel right now as you're saying that?
Well, also judging from the reaction from the audience, it's like I probably appear stubborn right now. I don't know.
What I picked up was, it doesn't bother me to be called stubborn. It was quite an affect.
But it really doesn't. I mean, if I am, I am. I mean, for me, my...
Okay, you come to that visa office.
Yeah.
Do you want to ask for permission, and what happens then? And then those criminals are there.
Well, yeah, they turn out to be some other people, some criminals. I don't know who they are and what they are.
Why? What makes them criminals?
They're some kind of murderers or...
Murderers, you say?
Yeah, yeah. they're trying, they're setting some plots or trying to kill somebody or do something like that, and they think that I am part of the people that they're trying to get.
So you are an elected victim.
Yeah, they just made a mistake, basically, what it boils down to.
Can you tune into one of those criminals and sort of visualize and then come close and close and get into his or her body now and tell me what are you up to, Miss Criminal?
Well, we have to really hurry up and get to the bottom of this whole thing and destroy and get rid of the people who are in our way.
In other words, are you telling me, Miss Criminal, that whoever is in your way, you want to destroy them, regardless?
Well, we want to solve, this problem that we have to deal with, and we have to. There are certain people that need to be killed, so they just have to be killed.
Why do they need to be killed?
Well, because they're in our way.
So what is in my way needs to be destroyed. It needs to be killed.
Well, I guess, yeah.
How does it feel like?
Well, I never see myself that way. I don't know.
Never what?
I never see myself that way.
Well, no. As you embody the criminal, how does it?
Yeah.
How do you? Suppose you were to act this on stage. What sort of feeling would you have to evoke in yourself?
No emotional attachment to the person that I'm trying to destroy. I would just sort of put myself in my head and be very mental about it and just decide this is my goal and I just have to reach it and I just have to do it.
How might you be caught by that?
You mean in real life? Well, if I do set a goal on something, then I will definitely reach it. Yeah,
regardless.
Regardless of the obstacles, yeah. It may delay it or postpone it or whatever.
But also regardless of personal and human considerations.
I never saw it that way.
You see,
before.
what happens here in the dream, you come to ask permission to change. And instead of getting a visum permission, those fellows come up. Now, if this is a description of a psychological dynamic, how would you understand that?
I see what you're trying to tell me.
I don't see it here. Tell me.
Well, that I will go and achieve my goal irrelevant of what happens to the people who are in the way?
Yeah. But in a response to feeling that you need permission. You see, it is an overreaction against feeling stopped. It's a sort of a reaction. You tell me I need your permission, to hell with you.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. I feel like I have the right to make my decisions, and I will take people that I care about into consideration, of course, no question about it. But
that's what you assume. But
well,
the dream
that's
says,
right. That's what I assume.
The dream answers this, compensates this by saying, but it's a criminal element that's evoked, maybe a destructive response. In other words, as though what you feel is the called for and justified response far overreaches the goal. Apparently, I would presume, I would question whether this was, again as a child, that there was not much chance to get a common solution, but but either you go under or you ruthlessly push through. Does it...
Doesn't really ring the bell in my childhood. I just always remember myself, even since I was 1 year old or so, to be very independent. If I woke up at night and I was frightened, it would never occur in my head, even at that age, to call for my parents.
Why not?
It just never occurred to me. It just never did. I just took care of it myself. I mean, I closed my eyes, and if I needed to go to the bathroom at night, I would just close my eyes, go there myself, because if I kept my eyes open, I would be frightened.
But that means the child did not expect or didn't hope for any cooperation or help from the parents.
Well, not really, because my mom just stayed home with me until I went to preschool at 2.5. I mean, she put her career on hold and everything. And she just stayed there with me, and I know she was very caring. I mean, I don't have any memory or reason to think to the contrary. It's just something within me that felt there's no need. I can deal with it myself.
Okay. Now, what happens next then in the dream?
Well, then there is, for some reason, because this office is on the 2nd floor, there is this big tree with a lot of branches, and I'm not sure, I don't remember for sure, but there is a sensation.
I was running ahead.
Yeah.
What do the criminals do actually at the dream?
Well, I try to prove to them that I'm not who they think I am.
You are not what?
That I am not who they think I am, because they're
What
mistaken.
do they think you are?
Well, they think that I'm one of the people that they need to kill, but they just made a mistake. So I try to explain it to them.
And how does it impress them?
No, they don't listen, they pay no attention. And so so I realize that I'm in a situation where I just have to run.
In other words, this tendency poses a danger to yourself, because they are wanting to destroy you.
Right.
Contrary to your protestation.
Exactly.
Now, could you see how that might be the case?
Well, the only situation that comes up to mind is with my in-laws. I mean, I have not experienced...
How might it apply there?
Well, no matter how I try to calmly and logically reason with them or explain things to them, it's just totally useless. Absolutely useless. So I gave up on that idea.
Are you reasonable and calm right now?
Am I reasonably calm right now?
Yes.
I think so.
I feel very strong.
Well, I guess I'm controlling it.
The point is, yes, you are, but again, these people are personality in you that you are not in touch with. In other words, you don't realize that at times you may come across like that and thereby undercut yourself.
I guess it's possible, but I just don't have any examples from my life where I could see it.
Right.
I mean, it's something that hasn't been expressed yet.
Except perhaps in the fact that this battle goes on and on and on.
Well, I do oftentimes feel that inside, internally, like I'm torn between different decisions, which are totally opposing.
The issues in those situations is rarely the what, but the how. You see, the trouble is what we carry in ourselves unconsciously, we broadcast to the world.
Okay.
And we are the last ones to notice it. Again, that's why we need the dreams. After all, if anybody is confronted by those fellows there, they will either pull their own gun if they have one, or call the police.
It was not an option.
No, I mean,
in that situation.
if this side of you speaks to somebody without you notice, you are bound to evoke opposition. And you may never know why.
It's difficult for me to understand exactly what you mean by this.
If you come across like one of those fellows in the dream, then this will evoke a defensive reaction in the other. And the best defense is always attack.
I guess.
So it calls for sooner or later a counterattack.
Yeah.
And you will wonder how come I didn't do anything to merit it. I merely asked permission. That is what this part really wants to show.
So how should I use this?
Let's see what comes further. What happens after that?
I realized that I have to escape. That's the only way I can avoid them. So I start running, and there is this big tree with a lot of branches and green leaves.
Green leaves?
With green leaves, yeah. And I'm not sure. The feeling is as if I'm sort of like going through the tree.
What do you mean you're going through the tree?
Well, it's this large tree with a lot of branches, very wide. And so now I'm on the second floor, and the feeling is as if I'm going through the branches, like sort of climbing through or going through, moving through.
Or not climbing up, you mean?
No, moving through to avoid them, to get away from them as fast as I can. And then I just remember a lot of pursuit, and they're trying to shoot me, and I'm just finding different ways to hide and outsmart them, and I finally do escape them.
You do escape them?
Yeah.
How do you escape them?
I think I just somehow outsmart them.
You what?
I outsmart them.
How?
How? I hide so they cannot find me. And they just keep running around and lose me. And
how about the tree? What about the tree? What does the tree remind you of?
I don't know, it was just there. I mean, it was just like part of the landscape, but somehow just I remember it.
What impressed you about the tree?
Well, it was very large, had a lot of branches, and that's the memory of it, that's all.
What's the feel of such a tree?
The feeling of it. I guess it was sort of protective. It was protective, maybe.
How
like it was it was the first thing there that enabled me to make myself less obvious to them.
Yeah, but now apart from the dream tree, what's your relation to trees? How do you feel about them?
Neutral. I don't feel anything in particular.
Okay, be a tree now and tell me about yourself. In the first person.
Yeah. I don't know, I'm just standing here and growing, and I don't really feel any consciousness or anything. It's sort of like just a biological thing.
What is like a biological thing?
Just for the tree to grow, it's just like...
No, you are the tree.
You're right.
Don't tell me about it, you are it.
Yeah. Well, I'm just standing here and growing, and performing whatever my biological functions are as a tree.
Now, how do you feel about where is this feeling in you, what you just expressed?
It doesn't mean much to me.
What doesn't mean much to you?
Well, what I just said about the tree, about the biological function, that it's just standing there and growing.
Now, how do you feel about yourself as a person who is a biological being and growing?
I guess I feel fine about it. I mean,
what does your face say?
Well, but it's like it's nothing. It's what is there?
Can you make that face again?
Like,
what does it feel like?
Like it's no big deal. I mean, it's just a fact of life.
What is a big deal?
Well, I think the intelligence, the awareness, the consciousness, I think those are big things. I think that's what distinguishes different kinds of people with different kinds of abilities, different kinds of purpose in life.
Can you take this feeling back into your childhood?
Okay.
Nothing matters but what one accomplishes, one's purpose in life.
Right, it's your accomplishments that speak of you or define who you are. It's.
And what about the person that does the accomplishing?
Well, that's part of it. I mean, I consider it to be part of it, how you interact with others, how you behave, how you present yourself. I think all of that to be in the same area.
You see, it seems to me your first point of hiding is the dismissing of the very personal. It doesn't matter, nothing big deal. This is, you see, it strikes me in relationship to yourself as something similar to what the criminals express in respect to others. The purpose of what I want counts foremost, and how one feels about it and who I am. Get it?
Well, I always feel that whatever the situation is, I can deal with it.
Where there's a will, there is a way, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now you have tagged the criminal. That's murderous.
Why? I mean, it depends which.
Because it overlooks the human and personal limitation.
Well, of course there are limitations, but I think if you set your mind to do something, then you'll be able to achieve it. I mean, the circumstances will be able to work out.
Regardless of personal weaknesses, regardless of feelings.
No, not regardless of feelings. But I guess more so regardless of limitations. Yeah. I mean, I would not do something if I could see that it's hurting somebody that I care about.
Okay, but you see, the tree doesn't help. Doesn't help you get away from it. They follow you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So hiding in that is no avail. And lastly, you see, you are being smart, you outsmart them, you escape them, but they haven't been dealt with yet.
So in
other words, you're trying to get away from yourself. Or to put it psychologically, you have not sufficiently confronted that dangerous side in yourself, that potentially self-destructive side. You see, purely clinically speaking, this attitude makes your type A personality. The ruthless executive drive who sooner or later then comes down with something. He knows nothing but his purpose. That dream is a warning dream.
It's difficult for me to integrate what you're just saying, because in my life, when I start thinking where would I be doing something like that, I don't see myself as being ruthless to the point of not being considerate of other people.
But you see, that is Here, that is again the limitation of awareness. You are here, that's very interesting. Those two dreams sort of complement each other. Where she was too far over here, you are too far over there. And you both feel, of course, as one all feel consciously, of course, that's the right way. It is precisely that these conscious counterpositions that cast light on the dream message. And because you are so sure that this is the safe way, the dream goes to such an extreme as depicting the other side of the coin as criminal. After all, you are not a criminal. Mm-hmm. So this is a gross exaggeration. Mm-hmm. But the exaggeration is always in proportion to the under-adjuration, where in-adjuration of the dreamer. When I, for instance, let's say, I look at those leaves there and I'm convinced they are blue, I may dream of them as yellow. Not as green, but as yellow. Because blue and yellow together make green. Mm-hmm. This is complementation. So to the extent that you feel this is an appropriate way of asking permission, of permitting yourself to proceed, to that extent the dream says that evokes a criminal.
So I'm asking myself a permission.
Well, you feel you need permission. You feel basically inhibited somewhere. You feel there's something against. There's a border where the line that one cannot just simply go over.
A limitation?
Yes. You have, in a way, I put it simply, seeming an authority problem. Something.
Well, yeah, I always have felt that I was just too timid and too quiet. Yeah.
So hence you need permission to do that. And this sense that gets your goat up, this feeling. And so, God damn it, I'll do it. And the one is as unsafe as the other. It's, you see, if you fall to the left side or fall to the right side, it's the same neck you break.
So how can I use this information in my everyday life?
By not trying to escape from a criminal, but look at them. See if you can strike a bargain with them.
Well, that's what I tried. It didn't work. You see, well, I tried to explain to them that, they're mistaken.
How did you explain? What did you explain?
Well, I tried to explain to them who I am and why I came there. And you see, these
explain to them it's not me, but it is you.
Right.
So that explanation doesn't draw any water. In other words, it's a matter of admitting to oneself, yes, I have the tendency, I have to watch it. Rather than trying to get away from it. You can't get away from it. It's that Sora again. You can't get away from it. You have to deal with it. That's your particular problem that you're stuck with. Doesn't make you bad, doesn't make you sinful or anything. That's the stuff you have to work on. It is, in other words, a part of your tree. It's a part of your growth potential. Because, you see, if we have those qualities under control, they work for us. This is a determination.
Yeah.
The question is, do you have the determination, or does the determination have you? And that makes a world of difference.
Right.
Does it run away with you without you knowing? Or can you call upon it when needed and say, step aside, I don't need you now? That's the issue here.
And if in everyday life, I mean, at least my perception of it is that I do have it under control, but the dream says that I don't. What should I be looking for?
Well, it is a matter then of seeking how. That would now be a matter of saying exactly, if possible, what happened perhaps on the day before or specifically, that you had the dream. what particular, perhaps, fight did you get yourself into?
Well, part of the determination thing was that I was really walking around, even staying in bed for the whole week before I came here. But I was absolutely determined to come here no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I mean, being sick or having a fever would not stop me. I was determined to come here, and that would be it.
Mm-hmm. Did you?
Because if I were not to come, I feel I would lose a lot, miss a lot, and I would feel like I'm just giving in to some weakness, whatever. So, you know, I'm a little sick, it's okay, I can deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Are you quite harsh on your weaknesses?
Well, I deal with them, but I think I just deal with them.
Now, is it possible, for instance, that you overtaxed yourself in other ways during that time?
Well, prior to that, for weeks before, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was well aware of that.
So then, at that time then, your determination was potentially self-destructive. I mean, overtaxing yourself and thereby potentially damaging. Because if I want one thing, I have only so much energy. If I want to apply it here, I cannot have it here.
Yeah.
But the criminal says, I grab it whenever I get it there. If you can't get it there, then I rob it. Take it from somewhere.
Yeah, I feel like I should be able to do everything.
To do everything.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's weakness.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
So when you get a sense of that, watch out.
Okay.
Now let's have a look at the dog. What sort of a dog? See the dog. What sort of a dog was it?
Well, internally, instinctually, I just always had a fear of them. But now, I mean, in the last few years...
what do you fear of the dogs?
What do
Give
I
me
fear?
an image, or a picture, sort of a personality profile of what you fear in the dog.
Well...
No matter whether it's realistic or not.
Yeah. I understand it as being totally wild and uncontrollable. It's like I have no relationship with animals. It's like I don't have any feeling or relationship with animals. So I don't know the dog and I feel threatened. The fear is that I feel threatened.
Yes, but what threatens you? For instance, there may be, let's say, a canary out there. You have no control over it either.
Well, it's not going to bite me. It's not going to hurt me.
What makes the dog bite you? What's doggish about the dog that makes it bite you?
Well, dogs, they have the ability to bite and to attack. They can be vicious. I mean, it's basically, originally, it's a wild, vicious animal. It's a predator.
What do you mean by vicious?
It will go and kill other animals. It eats meat, so it's a predator. So it has to kill other animals.
In other words, it goes after whatever it wants, regardless, right?
Well, I mean, logically, I don't think it's regardless. But in my case, since...
No, if it's vicious, then it's regardless.
Yeah, that's what it means.
Get the point? Here you have the beautiful illustration of projection. In other words, you have here, but the dog, of course, is more than that. The dog smells, knows what it wants. It can go, it can find things. Mm-hmm. The dog is also, traditionally, the mediator, like Hermes, between two worlds. Dogs are psychic. The dogs know what's going on yonder and can lead one to a goal. So here the dog is a sort of a goal-seeking, goal-sensing, instinctual capacity. Mm-hmm. But you don't have it on the leash. It bites you. It is not under your control, and therefore it harms you. And you dismiss it. Maybe it's safe, maybe it's not. If it's a vicious dog, how do you know it doesn't have rabies?
Well, after Admit Me, I just thought that, you know, it wasn't as bad and as scary as I thought it would be.
Yes, but you see that your attitude towards the whole problem. We have gone over that. You have expressed it numerable times when we dealt with the criminals. So the dream shows you the situation as it is. Twice it says it. The first time in general, we would say archetypal terms, maybe as a relationship to an instinctual drive that bites you and you dismiss it as invariably safe, maybe not. And then it personalizes it, says it again in more human terms. When that occurs, and that's something you also have to look for, dreams dreamt at the same night usually are variations on the theme. So it is as though from two areas, like in trigonometry, it is focused in to point out to the common denominator. That's then the focal point. So the dream here says you have a valuable potential, but watch out. You need to get it under control.
Okay. What about the little golden
yes,
metal things?
right.
I mean, that was very strange.
What about? Now tell me about those.
Well, those people, they just put them between my teeth like this.
What, purportedly, what for? Be one of them and explain to me what?
To either hurt you or to destroy you or, I don't know, something.
Now, why do you put in the teeth?
I don't know.
No, you are one of them, please. You are the expert. You tell me. In other words, put yourself into the dream and be one of them and tell me what you're doing to her. Why?
Well, to hurt you.
To hurt you? Why do you want to hurt her?
Well, because we have to kill her. We have to get rid of her.
Oh, and why do you do it in such a fancy fashion?
Because this way she'll really feel it.
This way she will
really feel it.
Really feel it. Why? What is this way that she will really feel it?
Well, if we do something in the mouth,
teeth.
in the teeth, then she'll really feel it.
What about the teeth? What's your feeling about teeth?
Well, I have a great fear of dentists, but I take care of my teeth.
What's a dog biting you with?
The teeth, oh yeah.
Can you try to sort of go into your teeth and see what you experience as you become your teeth? Sort of get the teeth consciousness.
Well, I can't help myself but think about, how the dog would just bite with the teeth and really tear the flesh with the teeth and just bite it and tear it.
Now, how does it feel?
Satisfying.
In what way?
Well, if you're a dog, I mean, that's the source of nourishment.
I meant you. I asked you how it felt as you did it.
I mean, it's fine. I mean, I like meat myself. So I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I like the feeling of meat on my teeth. Yeah.
Do you feel like biting people sometimes?
Like biting people? Yeah. Well, I feel more not like biting, but like just doing something with my hands. Yeah. It's just kind of like, I mean, not really people, but sometimes I just have this feeling where I just want to tear.
But you see, here comes the expression, teeth are the means by which we get hold of what would feed us.
Yeah.
So it's a way of getting hold of, not merely to control, but to internalize it. And this is done here in a rather vicious way. But also, coming back to those fellows, why do you use gold?
Well, it looks sort of golden. It looks sort of like the same color as gold. I mean, I'm not sure whether it is.
Why don't you use an ordinary toothpick?
I don't know.
No, you are.
Yeah,
You are
right,
doing. You
right,
are in
right,
the dream. You
right.
are doing it. What is gold to you, or what is goldenness to you?
I mean, to me as a person or as a criminal?
Both.
Well, as a person, I guess it's just like a standard thing. Everybody thinks about it. It means, I don't know, wealth.
Not everybody sticks gold into their teeth.
No, I didn't do that either.
And what is it to the criminal?
I'm blank, I don't know. I mean, the idea is just to inflict pain with this particular procedure, but why is it golden?
You are a criminal. They ask you what is gold to you, and you cannot answer that question.
Okay. It's money. I mean, that's the whole idea behind.
I want something.
Right.
Well, so this I want is being used in this other destructive fashion.
Huh.
But you see, gold is a very ambivalent issue. Gold is also the king of the metals.
Mm-hmm.
It's an indestructible, eternal value, which is misused here. It is here used as a torture instrument.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, it is what you said before, the purpose of life that you feel you're striving for, that is striven for or used in a destructive way.
What happened later after I escaped them is that the things came out by themselves, and they didn't hurt me that much, and it wasn't a big deal. They just came out, and it's like I saw a few of them on my palm. And I was surprised that there wasn't pain or bleeding or anything.
See, that came twice. You said with the dog it's not a big deal.
Right.
So how is this an artist review? It's not a big deal. Dismissed. It doesn't hurt anymore. Forget it.
Yeah, like it's a small thing to worry about. Yeah. I mean, there are higher purposes we have in life than worry about little aches and pains.
We have a word for that. We call this denial. But you see, those things, these gold pieces are still there. What are you going to do about them? Could you find a better use for it, or a better relation to it than this? In other words, the purpose of your life is still there and calls you. There is something to it, what you're striving for. But might it be approached differently? The image is there when you use it. You're like a fisherman who has a beautiful, huge fish on the hook. But now comes the question, will you eat that fish for supper, or will the fish eat you for his supper? That's a question the dream poses.
So in other words, I have to stand back when I feel this drive, this determination to do something. I have to stand back and...
When you get the sense of, I want this regardless of, no matter what, not big deal, I want to stand back and take stock of the situation. What's involved, what may be the price in suffering and pain to me, to others. Is it worth it? How much of it is it worth it? Sometimes yes, sometimes no, sometimes anywhere in between. But the question needs to be asked.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
That was great. It's amazing. I was thinking that sometimes when I take a case, I try to go deep into dreams, and I see the part that the way the patient sees himself or herself, in this case, like the person that is pursued, or the victim, or the person that is bitten by the dog. And on the other side, I see the shadow part and what the message is in the dream. And I try to put it
here?
No, it's somewhere else. Oh. And somehow I try to put it together into rubrics, or into a feeling that I can hold, ground myself in order to find the remedy. And sometimes I don't know if using the message of the unconscious, or if using the way the person really feels at the moment.
This is a rather important, complicated issue. For one thing, remember that our materia medica, provings and repertory were compiled in a pre-psychological age, where the insights and the language that we're having now didn't exist. Therefore, you have one particular language system there and an entirely different one here. And the problem is of creating the bridges, to translate the insights into the repertory legalese, as it were, or mumbo jumbo, whatever. So that's a task still to be accomplished. Second, the touchier one is you do not necessarily know what the patient feels, because more often than not they don't know it themselves. You remember what the response both times one usually gets in working with the dream: denial. Obviously. It's not bare ill will, it's obviously. If there were no denial, you wouldn't need the dream. What's unconscious is unconscious, so obviously it's not so. So when you interview patients, that's what you're getting. This may or may not correspond to the actual reality. Right. And now comes the worst catch of it all. Since we are dealing with Sora, namely with the perennial shadow problem, what you really need to prescribe for is what the patient does not tell you.
Right, that was my conflict, because let's say that the patient that is not aware of psychology would say, well, I'm always a victim and people are always running after me, and I just want to go to a different country.
Okay.
Because
you see, now this is a part of the issue, and it is a valid part. So you can take persecution mania as one, but behind it is something more that also has to be taken in.
Can we use those symptoms, like in the dream, that we know that is part of the case, as in a rubric, or do they oppose to
the rubric operates in an entirely different frame of reference. If you take now fear of dogs, I think you may get the remedy, you may not. In other words, here is work still to be done. It is not available yet.
My other question is, if, let's say that they did the proving, and a person that consciously would have fear of being persecuted, in their dreams, automatically, the shadow side would come, and that would be part of the proving too.
Yes.
So they would have that opposite.
Yes.
Conscious and conscious shadow.
But thereby you get merely the psychology of the prover. You don't have yet the psychology of the remedy. That would require that an assessment of the prover is taken prior to the proving, taking into account their unconscious attitude. That has never been done yet.
So can you put in words, what do you do? Like you're a homeopath and you're a therapist, like there is a process that comes in your mind and you do it probably unconsciously. Like, can you put it in words? Like, how do you use this material and the psychological material, and
the homeopathic thing, like how do they come together?
That's what I'm trying to work on now. In other words, it is a matter of getting a view of the various remedy pictures in depth psychological terms. That's still something to be done. Isn't there yet.
So what is the remedy in this case?
Well, I can always say I do the best I can. I often bumble.
Right. No, but in this case, like, can you...
Or in this case...
Like if you would think about a remedy, can you put it in
I
words?
certainly would look for the remedy in the list of the drivers, of the driving remedies, of the determination remedies. I would consider sulfur, nukes, nitric acid, for instance, and that category. I would not consider the Putatilar family. However, you see, that's not as silly as it sounds. This young lady was very endearing, was very, very nice, and she came out, and one could get tricked into the other field. Because there's always a mask. And the more intense the dogs are, the more one protects oneself with everything is all right and nothing matters mask. So at least that what the prescriber can do is to train himself, herself, to think in polarities. To ask, and what about the opposite? And this is also in many remedies, too much and too little.
Right. Thank you very much.
So always with a grain of salt.
It must be Nature Moriaricum that you're always talking about a grain of salt.
You got it. Yeah.
Yesterday you presented a case of a young man who had a dream of robbers for whom you gave arsenicum, the mafia.
Oh, yes. Remember, yeah.
So I'm curious, when you're working in depth analytically with someone, and they present, say, someone such as this woman who came and offered this last dream, and the unconscious is presenting a very powerful and, to the ego, frightening and inadmissible truth about her drama. And how you